If you've ever wondered why old patterns keep showing up even after all the healing, this message is for you. In the next few minutes, we'll explore why beliefs don't just fade with insight, why they cling, shift, and disguise themselves to remain in your field. You'll see how beliefs live not only in the mind, but in the body, your emotions, and even in the people around you. And more importantly, you'll learn how to recognize their frequency, interrupt their grip, and finally reclaim your resonance. We tend to think of beliefs as something we choose, something we hold, something we use and eventually outgrow. But more often than not, it's our beliefs that hold us. They shape what we see, what we feel, what we think we deserve, without ever asking permission. And when you try to shift, when you try to outgrow one, it doesn't always let go. It clings, it adapts. It shifts its frequency to match yours so it can stay. This isn't just about mindset. It's about the invisible systems that live beneath your thoughts. The ones that keep you circling the same patterns even after you believe you've moved on. Because beliefs don't just live in your mind, they live in your field, your frequency. And if you want to change them, you can't just think differently. You have to vibrate differently. But beliefs aren't just thoughts. They're vibrational signatures, energetic codes that shape how we experience reality. A belief isn't just an idea, it's a frequency pattern your system tunes into. It becomes a filter that tells you what to expect, and then shapes your perception to match that frequency. Let's say you grew up in survival mode, constant stress around money. You formed a belief, I'll always be broke. That belief has a vibration, and it stays in your field until it's released. Even when you get a little ahead, something in your system finds a way to pull you back. Not because you're lazy or unlucky, but because you're still resonating with the frequency of lack. Your energy doesn't just attract experiences that match the belief, it also filters out anything that doesn't. A new opportunity might show up, but if it doesn't match your internal frequency, you won't even recognize it as real. Two people can be in the same situation and experience completely different realities because they're vibrating at different belief frequencies. One might check their bank account and feel calm, even if there's not much there, because they trust that abundance is already in motion. They carry the frequency of enoughness, so opportunities keep showing up in ways that align with that inner state. Like a friend unexpectedly offering a paid collaboration or stumbling onto a job post they would have ignored before. But this time it clicks because their field is open, they're available to receive. The other might see the same numbers and feel panic. Not because the situation is worse, but because their field still resonates with the belief it's never enough. So even when help arrives, they can't feel it, or they sabotage it before it lands. Until you shift that frequency, the belief keeps running the show. And most of the time you won't even realize it's happening because it's running in the background like a default setting. And when a belief feels threatened, it doesn't go quietly. Here's what happens the moment you try to shift a belief. Your frequency starts changing, and the belief doesn't like that. Beliefs have survival instincts. They're not just ideas, they're energetic patterns that have been reinforced over time. So when you begin to rise in frequency, they resist. Maybe you were raised to believe that suffering is noble. So the moment you start choosing ease, you feel guilt. You feel like you're doing something wrong. That's not truth. That's the old frequency trying to pull you back into resonance. And beliefs don't just resist with fear. They adapt. They rebrand themselves so they can survive in your new field. A belief might shift from, I'm not good enough, to, I just need to improve a little more first. Sounds more loving, but it's still lack. It's the same frequency in new clothes. You're not doing it wrong. You're just becoming energetically incompatible with a system you used to resonate with. And that tension you feel, that pullback, that's not failure. That's proof you're growing. But not all resistance shows up inside your own head. Sometimes beliefs try to defend themselves through the people around you. You might start setting boundaries, pulling back, honoring your own energy. And suddenly someone says, "You've changed," or "You're not there for me like you used to be." It stirs something, not because they're right, but because your old belief is using their voice to try and pull you back into resonance. It wants to survive. And now that it can't scream inside your mind, it tries to whisper through familiar mouths. This too is a sign you're shifting. But even before your mind catches up, your body knows when something's shifting. Here's what you'll notice when you try to shift your beliefs. Your body will often react before your mind even understands what's happening. That's because your body holds the frequency history of your beliefs. They live in your nervous system, in your breath, your tension, your posture. What if your system has been wired around the belief, I have to earn love? You take a day off, you rest, you don't help anyone, and suddenly you feel anxious, restless, guilty. That's not because you did something wrong, it's because your body is vibrating out of sync with the belief's frequency. The discomfort isn't failure, it's friction between frequencies. Your old system was calibrated to proving and overgiving. Now you're introducing ease, softness, worthiness without effort. And your body doesn't know what to do with that yet. That's why breath is so powerful. It helps bridge the gap between your awareness and your physical resonance. Pause, breathe, name the pattern, and hold your new frequency, even when your body wants to retreat. Because in that moment, you're teaching your system that safety isn't found in the belief, it's found in alignment. By now you've seen it clearly. Beliefs don't just dissolve because you're aware of them. When you begin to outgrow a belief, it doesn't always dissolve. Sometimes that's when it fights hardest to stay. Not every belief fights with force. Some slip in gently. When you first begin to see through one, it may scream. Through panic, guilt, or sabotaging thoughts, it wants to stop your movement because you're still close enough to believe it. But once you've created space, once the belief knows its obvious tricks no longer work, it begins to whisper instead. It speaks as logic. It sounds like reason. It pretends to be your intuition, your protector. The scream tries to stop you. The whisper tries to redirect you quietly so you don't notice it's still running the show. Let's say you've carried the belief, I always mess things up in the end. You finally start something you care about, a new project, a relationship, a routine. At first it feels exciting, aligned, hopeful, but then a little voice creeps in. Don't get too comfortable. Remember last time? It's only a matter of time before it falls apart. So you hesitate, you second guess, you start noticing tiny signs that things might go wrong. You tell yourself you're being realistic, but what you're actually doing is matching the frequency of failure. And here's the kicker: you're not failing, you're expecting failure. And your system is trying to pre-feel the pain so it hurts less later. But all that does is make the pattern stick. It's not truth, it's not intuition. It's your nervous system trying to stay in resonance with a belief you're finally ready to release. This is the moment most people walk back to the familiar, because they think resistance means it's not working. But it's actually working perfectly. You don't have to argue with the belief, you just have to stop matching its frequency. Pause, name it, hold your field. Act from the new frequency, even if it feels awkward at first. Because awkward isn't wrong. Awkward is new resonance, stabilizing, and that's how you break the loop. Beliefs don't release you because you figured them out. They release you because you outgrew their frequency. You are not your thoughts, you are not your patterns. You are the frequency beneath it all. And from there, anything can shift. Let that land, let it echo through your field without rushing to explain it. This is how new resonance begins. If this message resonates with you, if you felt something shift or remembered something true, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. Not because you're supposed to, but because your frequency says yes. Soul via Vibes, a journey of awakening, transformation, and spiritual resonance. Tune in to explore deeper truths and align with the energy of your soul's purpose.